They called it Orelus, a world older than Earth by millions of years, circling a dim golden star far from our sky. Its oceans glowed faintly at night, reflecting twin moons that rose together like silent witnesses. Cities there were not built upward, but outward, woven into the land itself. Shaped from living stone and crystal that responded to thought and touch, the people of Orelus did not call themselves gods. They called themselves keepers. Keepers of balance, memory, and time. For hundreds of thousands of years, their civilization grew slowly, deliberately. They had learned early that speed destroyed wisdom. Children were taught history before mathematics, empathy before technology. Machines existed, yes, but they were silent partners, not masters. Energy came from the planet's core, drawn gently so the world would not be wounded. War, as Earth understands it, was almost unknown. Conflict was settled through long councils, through memory sharing, through reliving another's pain until anger dissolved into understanding. Even a careful civilization cannot escape the universe forever. The first sign was the sky. Astronomers noticed a trembling in the light of their star, a subtle irregularity that should not exist. At first, it was dismissed as instrument error. Then the oceans began to change. Tides arrived minutes too early. Volcanic vents whispered more often beneath the crust. The planet itself seemed uneasy, as if sensing something before its people could name it. Orelus was drifting. Not gently, but inexorably pulled by a massive gravitational force moving through their region of space. A rogue stellar remnant, dense beyond imagination, invisible to the naked eye, was passing close enough to tear their solar system apart. Simulations showed the truth within weeks. Their planet would not survive the next few thousand years. Crustal collapse, atmospheric loss, total extinction. The councils gathered in silence that lasted 3 days. No panic followed, no screaming crowds. It's only grief, deep and ancient. For a world that had nurtured them since before their recorded time, many argued they should stay. To die with their planet felt honorable. To abandon it felt like betrayal. But others spoke of responsibility, memory, of the duty to carry life forward when life itself was threatened. Among them was Arundel, a memory keeper whose role was to preserve the lived experiences of generations. She stood before the council, her voice trembling not with fear, but with love. "If we stay," she said, "the universe loses everything we have learned. If we go, Orelus will still die. But it will not be forgotten." The decision was not unanimous, but it was final. They would leave. Not all of them. Only a fraction could be saved. The technology to move entire populations across interstellar distances did not exist, even for them. What they could do was send seeds, genetic libraries, memory cores, living people, chosen not for power or status, but for adaptability, compassion, and the ability to begin again without becoming tyrants. They searched the stars for a suitable world. It was a small blue planet, young and unstable, orbiting a modest yellow star. Its atmosphere was rich with oxygen. Its oceans were wild. Its land was untamed. Life there was simple but promising. The dominant species walked upright, used tools, and looked at the sky with curiosity rather than fear. Earth, the journey would take generations. Even with their most advanced vessels, time dilation would stretch lifetimes into centuries. Those who arrived would not be the same ones who left. Families said goodbye knowing they would never be remembered by name, only by consequence. The ships were not silver or sharp. They were organic, grown rather than built, shaped like elongated shells that hummed softly as they slipped into the dark. Inside them, embryos slept in light-filled chambers, accompanied by elders who would guide the early years of the voyage. Memory crystals stored art, language, science, music, and the stories of Orelus itself. As the final ship departed, Orelus shimmered below them, oceans glowing one last time beneath its twin moons. No one spoke. Some wept. Others closed their eyes and committed every detail to memory. The stars swallowed them. Time passed differently in the void. Generations were born who had never felt a planet beneath their feet. Children learned to walk along curved corridors, learned gravity through gentle rotations. Stories of Orelus became half legend, half prayer. The elders warned them constantly. "You are not gods," they said. You are guests in whatever world receives you. When the ships finally reached Earth, it was nothing like the simulations. Ice covered much of the land. Massive animals roamed the plains. Early humans lived in small groups, surviving day by day, unaware that the sky was about to give them ancestors. The descent was careful, silent. The ships hid themselves in remote regions, deep valleys and oceanic trenches. The newcomers emerged not in shining suits, but in bodies adapted to Earth's gravity, air, and bacteria. They were taller than the native humans, their eyes slightly larger, their features subtly different, but close enough. Close enough to blend eventually. First contact was not a grand meeting. It was a moment of shared fear. A hunting group encountered one of the newcomers near a river at dawn. Both froze. Spears were raised. Hands trembled. The newcomer knelt slowly, placed a tool on the ground, and touched their forehead to the earth in a gesture of peace that had existed on Arulus for millennia. The humans hesitated. Then one stepped forward. History pivoted. Communication took years. Language was learned through imitation, through symbols drawn in dirt, through shared work and shared danger. The newcomers did not reveal everything. They taught fire control, improved tools, healing methods, star patterns. They avoided teaching weapons beyond necessity. They watched carefully, always afraid of repeating mistakes they had once narrowly avoided, but not all newcomers agreed. Some believed humanity should be ruled, guided forcefully, reshaped quickly into a reflection of Aurelius. They argued that subtlety wasted time, that Earth's humans were too violent, too chaotic, too primitive to be trusted with knowledge. The first division was born. Arundel, now aged beyond what Earth years could measure, felt the fracture growing. She gathered the elders and spoke softly. If we become their masters, she said, we will lose everything we came to save. The argument ended in silence. But silence does not heal everything. Some left. They disappeared into mountains, deserts, and ice. They would later become myths, sky beings, watchers, gods who demanded obedience. Those who stayed chose another path. They chose to become human. They took mates among the native people. Their children carried diluted memories of the stars. Longer lifespans, sudden insights, dreams of cities beneath alien moons. Over generations, the truth blurred. Stories turned into legends. Legends into religion. Religion into symbols carved into stone. And Aurelius faded into whispers, but its legacy had only begun. The children of both worlds grew quickly. They ran across plains, swam in cold rivers, and stared into fires that reminded their elders of glowing oceans long lost. Some children dreamed vividly, waking with tears and images they could not explain. Towers made of light, songs without words, a planet breaking apart in slow, silent agony. Their parents listened, afraid and awed, unsure whether to encourage or suppress these memories. Time on Earth moved faster. Seasons were harsher. Life demanded struggle. The newcomers learned humility as crops failed and predators hunted them as prey. For the first time in their long history, survival was not guaranteed. And in that struggle, something unexpected happened. They changed. Empathy deepened. Creativity sharpened. The need to cooperate with a species so different from themselves forced them to rethink everything they believed about intelligence and worth. Earth's humans were not lesser. They were younger, fierce, emotional, imaginative in ways Aurelius had never been. Civilization rebuilt itself slowly, unevenly. In fertile valleys, knowledge spread faster. Stone structures rose, aligned with stars not native to Earth's sky, but remembered subconsciously. Calendars formed, agriculture stabilized. Writing emerged not as a gift from the sky, but as a shared necessity. The newcomers resisted the urge to accelerate progress. They remembered the price of imbalance. Still, the fractures grew. Those who had left earlier returned at times, not as teachers, but as rulers. They demanded offerings. They used advanced tools sparingly, but dramatically, bending physics just enough to inspire awe and fear. Storms were called. Lights appeared in the heavens. Humanity, desperate for explanation, knelt. Thus began the age of false gods. Myrndl watched from a distance, her lifespan finally nearing its end. She saw how easily power corrupted, even those who once swore to protect balance. She gathered her remaining strength and did what memory keepers were born to do. She hid the truth, not erased it, not destroyed it. Hid it in layers of myth, symbol, and stone. Knowledge encoded in architecture, in ratios, in stories about floods, stars falling, and teachers who came from the sky and left promises behind. She knew future humans would not understand immediately. But someday, when their science caught up with their curiosity, they would begin to see the patterns. Before she died, Arundel spoke to a child sitting beside her fire. A girl with sharp eyes and a habit of staring upward at night. "We were not meant to stay forever," Arundel said quietly. "We were meant to begin something." The child did not fully understand. But she remembered. Generations passed. Ice ages came and went. Continents shifted. Empires rose, believing themselves eternal, and fell into dust. The blood of Aurelius diluted until it was barely detectable, expressing itself only in rare individuals, visionaries, builders, thinkers who seemed to pull ideas from nowhere. People who looked at the stars, not with worship but with longing. Civilizations forgot their origins, but not their questions. Why did knowledge appear suddenly in the archaeological record? Why did ancient structures align with stars as they were thousands of years ago, not as they appeared to the builders? Why did myths across the world speak of teachers from the heavens, of a time before time, of a golden age destroyed? The Watchers, those who had chosen dominance, faded eventually. Some left Earth, others died, few remain, if the oldest stories are true, hidden and waiting, convinced humanity will destroy itself just as Aurelius did. But there is another group, the Keepers. They are not a secret society. They do not wear symbols or gather in shadows. They're scientists who question assumptions, artists who feel history in their bones, storytellers who sense that myths are memories wearing masks. They are drawn to ancient sites, to the night sky, to the idea that humanity's story is far older and far stranger than textbooks allow. Every so often, a discovery surfaces. It's an artifact out of time, a map that should not exist. It's a genetic anomaly suggesting intervention long ago. Each time the world debates, dismisses, forgets, and yet the pattern grows clearer. Human civilization did not begin once. It restarted, not as an invasion, not as conquest, but as survival. As a second chance granted by a dying world that refused to let its lessons vanish into the dark. If Aurelius had lived, humanity might never have existed as it does now. Art born of struggle, no courage forged by vulnerability, no endless reaching toward the unknown. The lost planet gave Earth its scars and its strengths, and perhaps one day when humanity faces its own extinctionally level choice, when the skies change and the oceans whisper warnings, we will remember. Not the technology, not the power, but the lesson Aurelius learned too late, that survival means nothing without wisdom, and that the greatest civilizations are not those that conquer the stars, but those that carry their humanity with them when everything else is lost.